We are live. We've put this on a lot of our pages. I just went live to let people know we get to have a conversation with somebody that is an opposing viewpoint, which is the most important thing in America, is to actually be willing to have a conversation with somebody you oppose and sometimes vehemently oppose. I can tell you that Tony and I, if he doesn't remember or know, because sometimes it's on the Truth Will Set You Free page, we have gotten into it in posts. And I don't know what got under Tony's skin today. He's like, you know what? Screw it. We're gonna have a conversation. And I dropped my life. I'm like, I got done with teaching my class earlier, and I go, I will do anything to have this conversation. Cash was supposed to have a show. He decided to cancel it, and we're just playing this everywhere so people can see how a civil, hopefully civil, maybe we'll argue, I don't know, conversation goes with people that have two different belief systems. Tony, I know nothing about, literally nothing besides I think he lives in Dallas. So we're going to get to know each other first. This is like a typical podcast where we're getting to know each other, and then we're going to talk about the issues at hand. We've got things that we'll talk about as a preview, probably. We'll talk about the debate. We'll talk about the election, how we feel, and all these different things that Americans don't talk about enough, and we just assume we hate each other. So I already love you for just being here, Tony. So thank you. Please introduce yourself. And if everybody's watching, like this video, share this video, do all the things with this video. Tony, who are you?
Anthony, thank you very much. I'm also an Anthony. Mama always called me Tony.
Yeah. See, your mom always called you Tony?
Always, never an Anthony.
So that's hilarious because my mom said if anybody called, she literally came into my college class and said when she heard my teacher, when she came in and whatever, and he goes, Tony, your mom's here, flipped out. She's like, I named my son Anthony, not Tony. So that's fun. That's probably why we're different politically.
Are you Italian?
I'm half Italian, half Jewish.
See, and I'm British, Scottish, and I think that's about it.
Yeah. Wait, so Stevens is British.
I thought Tony was cute.
Yeah. All right. There it is. It's all good. So again, that was a great intro because now we're already different.
We're both Anthonys. We'll give it that.
There you go.
Yes, I do live here in Dallas. I engaged with you, I think, online because I am a bit of admittedly, a troll in that it feels empowering, if you will, or I do break through, I think, every once in a while, though not often. It is politics and the way they've been for the last 6 years are something, or 8 years, I should say, is something that's very important to me. I represent me and myself only because I'm single, no kids. My family is no longer alive. So I kind of have this voice to be able to speak for just me without it actually affecting anyone else, which I do enjoy that freedom. Yes, so I'm 53 and I am do lots of things and enjoy great conversation, and I agree with you. I think that if we can only speak to each other and listen, and not with the intent to change one another's mind, because that shouldn't be the intent, because there's obviously worldwide a difference. We're not the only country in the world that has liberals and conservatives. It's all over the world. And right. It's a split that seems to be pretty much 50-50, especially here, which is as amazing to me as it is to you, that once that it can be so equal, but it is. But I don't want to ramble, but okay. I think that is almost what we should say is utopian, because if it's a 50-50 split, then it is equal. Whereas if it were 100% were one way, then, which is impossible, there would be no room for growth.
Well, that would also, and then it would be communism. I mean, but the people don't all feel that way, but it's controlled in a certain way. Then it becomes communism and fascism. So you're from Texas, obviously. So you said that you born and raised in Texas. You mentioned the word trolling, and that's kind of how we know each other.
A nasty word, but yeah,
you said it though, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah. So why do you like to start? And that's, again, so you know which page, the Truth Will Set You Free page. You know what page. Okay. Yeah. So why is it why do you enjoy the trolling aspect of coming
For
in
the
on stuff like
same aspect that you enjoy doing your show. It's putting out your words, putting out your thoughts, your beliefs, your ideas, in the attempt to make an impression on others or hear perhaps what they have to say. And in this case, it worked because you engaged with me, and we are now in a conversation.
And the thing is, and again, you are right in this instance. But the typical troll that I have that I usually the more vicious the troll, the less chance I will ever get to see their face.
Certainly.
So, I mean, you've been one of, in some cases, some of the worst things I've heard and seen. I'm like, oh my god, is you. But I really don't care because you're here. The fact that you're here makes it negates all of it. I'm good with it.
Sure.
But you related it to what I do. What I do is I typically show myself on a camera, or I'll or post videos and do stuff, and I encourage people to come and have a conversation. How many times have you actually been a troll and actually gone and had the actual conversation
I
with
don't
somebody?
exactly want to focus on that word troll. I guess I should, instead of that word is commonly used, and it summarizes things that people see a person that takes a different stand and goes against a person who has a more formidable place online and social media, or even with someone else. I think, for that was lack of a better word, I would say that it's probably much more that when I have the opportunity and I hear someone or read something that I feel or know, and I kind of texted you about that earlier, I know that the facts are incorrect. And when I see promotion of facts that don't add up, and the things that aren't truly what's happening, and we could go into, and I'm happy to, about the difference of what fact is and what is not, and what reality is and what is not, when an apple's an apple and an apple's not a banana. And I
You do know though that when look, I'll use the word troll loosely. I've trolled other pages, but when I do, I don't do it the way that you did on the page. Like there's times you'll bring up a fact or two that you have, but for the most part, you're talking shit. I don't really like to talk shit. I'll literally say this is a false statement because statistically, like if we're looking at
I,
crime, I'll look at I'll say technically white supremacy is not an issue because statistically this XYZ black crimes make up, and I'm just giving a random example, but I'll usually say that that's my version of trolling. Your version of trolling is you go on the page and you talk shit about other people that are Trump supporters.
well, I think that that's a big statement, and I think also, yes, I do, but it's at certain points, but I believe that it is necessary due to the lack of reality that exists so often with Trump supporters that I encounter and I see and I hear. And I actually had no idea you had a podcast. I had absolutely no idea that you had a following. I had no idea that you did anything like this. You were just a person that I came across. You popped up on my page and I was talking. The satisfaction of that is that I had the opportunity to counteract or counter lever what you were saying,
Right.
and with things, but talking shit, we can say that, but it depends on your view of shit and your view of what the truth is, and and what is real and what's not real. And
Okay.
I, so if
So
we
give me the background of what's your, are you I mean, I don't even know. Again, if I were to be totally honest, I just see you as somebody that comes in and talks shit on the page. And it's interesting when you get into it with other people, and when it's the truth will set you free, and you, which is me, typically going off, you're a little bit you definitely like to pick on people that know less than I do, which is fair for people. I mean, I spend 10, 15 hours a week for the last 5 years really diving into this. So, again, this is why it's a good conversation to have between the two of us. I think that we both know a lot. So, what is your political background?
my political background, my
Beliefs, your beliefs.
well, absolutely.
Tony,
Before,
let me stop you real quick for your respect. Everybody in the comments, and we've been pretty good to this point. Again, thank you, Tony, for being here. Let's let us hash things out. Feel free to make comments, questions, whatever. No
right,
insulting and talking shit in the comments, please. Okay, go ahead.
Right. I can't see them anyway. Um, I'm definitely on the more, I would say, liberal end of liberal. That would be encompassed with, I think that one of the, I'll tell you my definition of, or biggest explanation of the difference between liberal and conservative.
Okay.
Liberal mind is typically about mine, yours, theirs, his, hers, not the pronouns, theirs, ours, whereas the conservative mind is more about me and mine.
Okay.
There's a difference because one involves a human quality that mammals have, not all, that is called empathy. And empathy is the ability to willingly put yourself in someone else's shoes and see their point of view. And not only point of view, but view it through their eyes, not through your eyes looking at them, but actually try to put yourself into their situation and see how they are seeing things, which we are both doing right now. Empathy is an evolutionary trait, and it is somewhere, obviously, worldwide, around 50% of human beings currently, because of what I just stated. And
You're saying empathy or being an empath? Two different things.
well, there's empathetic, there's empathic nature, there's being an empath, and there's having empathy. And they all have different, slightly different meanings. Being an empath is someone that actually, without their control, can feel what other people are feeling when they walk into a room. Being empathetic is being willing to actually put yourself in someone else's shoes, despite the pain, but the reward also being that you can put yourself in someone's shoes and feel their joy.
Do you feel as though selective empathy is a real thing?
Selective empathy. That's an interesting question. I think that people have a tendency one way or the other to be empathetic. It could be, is it, born or is it taught? I think it happens. And I think that people are incapable, some. And I truly came to a good, at one point several years ago with Trump, where I came to an understanding that he and all opposing parties believe that the other party is as wrong as the other one does, or they believe they're just as right as the other party does. So getting that through your head that neither one of them is trying to trick the other, it's that they truly believe, and they truly believe, both sides, that they are correct in the matter. But I also see from conversations I've had with multiple people, multiple conservatives, that it's very difficult many times to have a conversation because there's not a lot of fact-based information. And when I get into that conversation and I happen to have factual information, I see a anger rise up, or a inability to continue the conversation, and they'll stand up and leave the room. Of course, that's an exaggeration. That's not always what happens. But
That literally is what happens every time I have a conversation.
with a liberal,
Well, actually, that's a lie, because I am more empathetic, and I'm able to have a conversation because I was a Democrat my whole life, up until 2012 to 2016.
what switch caused you to?
Great question. I started to see, and honestly, I still consider myself liberal. And you use the word, you're on the liberal side of liberal. I think that I think there's a disconnect in the Democrat Party with what the term liberal means. Liberal actually is meaning having empathy. I don't think the Democrats. I don't think any politician has any empathy at this point. I don't think Democrat voters, leftists, I think that they have a very selective empathy. And that's why I asked the word. I firmly believe when I started, and they also, to me, are rooted in misinformation and more feelings. Feelings and emotions drive their belief systems. Perfect example, and one of the main reasons I switched, being from St. Louis growing up, watching the Michael Brown hysteria with the hands up, don't shoot, which is a completely false statement, destroyed the life of a police officer because of somebody that unfortunately died, but also was a piece of shit. That I realized that I'm like, oh man, this narrative is just getting twisted all around. And then I started to see it pop up more and more. And I started to look at that as my root. And then I was a business owner, and I started to see just this lackadaisical nature of more leftist belief system, and then just society in general. And I saw the importance of conservative politics in the economy. I still am, to be honest, a mostly pro-choice conservative in terms of that area. I'm pro-choice, obviously, with vaccinations and shots. I'm pro-choice in a lot of areas. and I'm small government. So I started to see this shift, and I realized the Democrat Party has become the party of hate, and it has become the party of overwhelming government. And that's what I see. And like you literally talked about empathy, and yet you're a person that I think feels empathy for those you feel are victims. But at the same time, when it comes to a Trump supporter, you mentioned you have empathy kind of for Trump, but when it comes to a Trump supporter, you love to kind of
It,
go on and slam them. So
I
that's not empathetic in any way, shape, or form.
I feel empathy for Trump supporters because I think they are victims. And I think they're a victim of misinformation. And it's interesting that you say that liberals are the victims of misinformation, where we have Trump that has spent the last 8 years doing nothing but putting misinformation out there. I mean, I can
Like
ask,
what?
do you believe that Trump lost the last election?
I do believe there was issues with the last election. He lost because technically
Uh,
Joe Biden is our president.
do you
Do-
believe, yes or no? Did he lose the last election?
I'm gonna, and I don't, and people go, "That's a yes or no question."
It is.
It's not a yes or no. Well, here's the thing.
You
Yes,
don't.
he lost.
Yeah,
Yes. Here's your answer. Yes, he lost the election
okay.
because he is no longer president, and it was signed, sealed, delivered on January 6th.
But you believe that it was taken from him.
I believe no. I believe there should have been more investigations, and I can tell you very basically why.
If investigation would have satisfied you.
So here's the deal.
Uh,
So we have anecdotal issues. So again,
Anecdotal is one thing, but I would hope that we could stick to fact of what was not
well,
done.
anecdotal is a fact. It's a small subsect of a fact. So if you look at it, you look at somebody like Cash. Cash is one of our co-hosts. Had 400,000 followers, whatever. He went to jail for January 6th. And if you look at him, he's one example out of about 80-ish people that sent us information when they checked to see if their vote counted. Again, anecdotal. 80 people messaged us with between his and my following.
80 people.
Again, small subsect saying their vote didn't count. Cash being one
How
of
do
them.
you know that their vote didn't count?
Because there's certain counties that you can look up and see what to make sure you voted. We had people that even said, "Wow, that's weird. In 2018, it shows I voted Democrat. This was the first election I ever
Hold on.
voted."
Slow down here. You're now stating that there are certain counties that you can look up on some site and find out whether your vote was actually registered into the system and or not.
Yeah, you could do again. My county was not in Texas, but there was places in Indiana,
All right.
Illinois.
Where, can you share that information? What was
This is 3.5 years ago. If anybody in the comments knows that, but there was literally .gov websites you could check to see if your vote was counted, and we were encouraging people to do that at the time.
it or not? So it didn't go into the system, is what you're saying? It just, you went in and you voted and it just was thrown away?
If say they were mailing, just didn't make it, didn't end up there. Who knows? It could have get lost in the mail. Like Cash, I know exactly what post.
You say who knows? I think a lot of investigation has been done. Things were recounted and recounted back in that election, and that information was not only tested by being sent to 60 federal judges to ensure that most, as you've heard, were appointed by Trump, and they agreed, and they all came not even together but individually, that this census was that isn't true.
Which is accurate. It's been one of the questions. I wonder how they have not had a way to actually get this past that court system, because as I said, I'm giving anecdotal evidence. Say it again.
It went through the court system very effectively 60 times.
It went effectively because it went the way that you believe it. To me, I see issues in multiple places. I will change this. Go ahead. Every time I talk, you cut out because I think of your phone. So you're good. You're good. What were you saying?
What is it that would have satisfied you? What exactly would you have rather seen done in the election between Trump and Biden that would have made you go, oh, okay, everything's correct, Biden won?
Okay, there's multiple things, and I'm going to get to the second thing that actually is the exact reason why.
Awesome.
Say it again.
We're going way back. All right.
Yeah, and that's why I don't remember the link to the website. I am seeing people in the comments talk about that they did check these websites again 3.5 years, but I want to get the investigations in terms of the way that I'm very the thing is I'm perplexed myself in terms of the actual count. When I have this kind of anecdotal evidence, I don't know where they went. I think that's mind-boggling that many gets lost. I was watching at 2 a.m. in the morning. I think it's very weird to see the numbers switch by 100,000 in an opposite direction in Michigan. Thought that was odd. Georgia, you talk about recounts. When you say they've done the recounts, they went through it. What people forget about the state of Georgia is when the ballots come in, it rips the signatures off. You technically can't recount a ballot that doesn't actually have the ability to check it. So you have no idea. You have no ability to go to the actual voter rolls. That's another one. When it comes to there's been a lot of people do independent research in terms of finding that there was dead people on ballots. Is it enough to switch the vote? I don't know. I really don't. I just wish there would have been more investigation. Lastly, let me do the last part. There's the 3 cases in Georgia. I find it suspicious. I would have liked investigation. And instead, these women ended up getting money from the state because they felt as though they were victimized.
How many?
There was a fake. Do you believe that there was a water main break in Georgia at the Georgia Dome?
At what point?
During the counting of the ballots, when all of a sudden they had to clear the whole building, and while the building was cleared, 2 women pulled out 3 cases on video from underneath a desk that Kemp and the state officials said it still followed the proper chain of custody. Explain to me what the chain of custody is. But they pulled out 3 things and when it found out there was no water main break, really weird that people got pulled out. And then you've got these 3 cases that were then entered through the system with no ballot watchers. Can I prove that that he lost? Absolutely not. But where there's smoke, there's enough fire for an investigation.
And was it not investigated?
It was simply said by the Secretary of State. It followed all procedure and rules, which technically there should always be ballot checkers. To me, there should always be ballot watchers.
In Georgia by hand?
What's that?
Was it recounted in Georgia by hand?
It's recounted in Georgia by hand after the signatures are already removed from the ballots, which makes a recount impossible to actually track back to the
signatures and then discounted the ballots that didn't have signatures. Is that what you're saying?
That was actually part of the issue with the numbers. So let me
equally signatures from ballots that were Democrat and or Republican, or did they have to sort out the Republican ones and only remove those signatures?
No, they have to remove all signatures. All signatures are removed.
Could have been an equal split of removal of signatures.
Total, and that's my point. Possibly could have been. Absolutely. I just think there's enough to go. Something's weird. And also, we've been disagreeing with the election results in mass since the hanging chads, Hillary Clinton. But all of a sudden, it became criminality.
But it did happen, and the Supreme Court did have to decide that.
Are you talking about with
Or
yeah. Okay. So the Supreme Court did decide it. So they got to that point. We never even got to the ability to get to the Supreme Court on this one.
The Supreme Court did go along and actually stop the entire process at one point with this and not certify, but the Supreme Court didn't make a ruling, but they refused to hear the case because the 60 federal judges had already said their mind, and the Supreme Court said, we're not going to get involved in this.
No. That's wrong. The Supreme Court said they're not getting involved because the votes had already been certified. So it was actually January 6th that stopped the Supreme Court, not the actual 60 cases. The 60 cases.
But they took their federal appellate judges in word and their judgments and their findings and used that because the
Supreme Court made the decision. The Supreme Court made that decision far before that. They did. Well, the 60 cases went on for a couple of years, so they made it somewhere in the middle to the beginning of it. They made it based on the fact that the votes were already certified and you can't switch at that point.
Well, about 6 months of Biden becoming president, those 60 federal court judges had made their findings. It wasn't 2 years into his presidency.
There still was court cases going through 2022. You can check that again. So let's
right now.
Go ahead.
When you say check that, where do I check that? That makes
that is another great point. It's very hard to find information. So what you do is you look.
Hard to find information.
Why is it hard?
Yeah, why do you think it's so hard?
Because Fox News sucks, CNN sucks, and you have to find independent. What's that?
Why do they suck?
Because they're all full of misinformation.
How do you know that?
Because I guess I'll ask the question back to you. Do you think that they're all altruistic?
I believe that there are respectable journalists out there that build their lives by going to college, going to school, getting a bachelor's, getting a master's, becoming professionals at what they do. And their foundation is based on the respect of their peers and trying to report the news as most pure, pure, and obviously, depending on the owner of the station, the owner of the paper, owner of the information, there's going to be a slant, no matter what. I tend to go with, a lot of times, PBS, NPR, things like that. But I will also read conservative news, and I'll also read the far right Huffington Post. And so the truth always
Wait,
lies.
did you say far right Huffington Post?
Far left, excuse me.
Sorry. Oh.
I will get. I try to look at all the different views, but I do know that there are a whole lot of people across the world. And when I think about things like this, I'm not just thinking about the United States. I'm thinking about journalists across the globe. And to be a successful journalist, to be trusted, and to be given trust, in it means that you are not, none of us obviously can be present for all of the things that are reported in the news. And the only way we ever know that something has actually happened or is real is if we were actually there. So what we do is we rely on these people to either have been there for us or take the best, most trusted source that was close to, and it's a filter process. It's like that game where it goes through whisper in someone's ear and it goes in a big circle. But respected journalists base their reputation, their livelihood, their progression, their raises, their amount of money that they make, the gratis of the entire journalism world. And I think that there are many out there that stick to that and stand to that.
Really?
I do believe.
I think it's a fraction of a percent. I think we've gotten to a point where journalists, first off, you also have to look at the percentage of academia. They go through obviously higher education, which I firmly used to believe in, and I don't anymore. Academia has gone from 70-ish% Democrat-based based teachers, and to now it's over 95%. So it's going through the education system, and young journalists, unfortunately to me, are really stuck on one system. But I want to, you said something that you have to actually be there to get the truth, which kind of counterbalances the journalist side. So I have a question. What is your opinion on January 6th?
Are there when it happens? And many journalists are present when certain things happen. Yeah. And we take their word on, we should take their word and their camera and their video at face value.
I'll take their video at face value. Absolutely. Selective editing is a key
of artificial intelligence and CGI and all of that's messing things up even more, but we won't go there.
That's a rabbit hole, and I get you. But for the most part, up to this point, video is probably the only true factor. So I always like to find true video. So I got to ask you the question: what is your belief system on January 6th? Because if you say you believe who was there, I mean, I was there, so I can give you firsthand account of the day.
You can tell me a firsthand account. Great. Were you there in every part of the Capitol?
I wasn't inside the building, and I actually did not see the violence except for on the video that I saw. And also, I do have inside information. I hate talking over you. It's not.
Respond.
I'm actually. It's not me reprimanding you at all. It's the fact that for some odd reason, your phone every time that I talk cuts out your volume. I'd rather us almost talk over each other once in a while. So unfortunately, I'm just warning you. When I talk and you talk, I can't hear you. So I apologize if I'm there. You go. So it's hard. It's just hard. And so forgive me if I am talking over you because I can't hear you. So what I can tell you is that, go ahead.
My question is, you said you were at the Capitol. You weren't in the Capitol. That's fine one way or the other.
I was not in.
Right. Were you outside the Capitol in every location of the Capitol?
No. So I was the area where apparently most of the fighting happened. I was in the thick of it. I was there when things were peaceful still, before apparently things got violent. I never saw the violence. I do know people that went inside. I also, because of my relationship with people that were in the Capitol and the ones that got arrested, they got to see discovery video, thousands of hours while they were in jail. I got to see some of it as well. Was there bad things that happened on January 6th? Absolutely. Was it completely blown out of proportion? 100%. Go ahead.
One moment. So what America saw, and I'm sure you will blame this on journalism and the preferred video version of what was shown across America, But regardless of that, still there is video footage of large quantity of people responding to a indirect command by our commander-in-chief to go to the Capitol and to fight like hell and to save basically his presidency. And they did so, believing that they were doing the right thing. And I do believe that many of them believed that they were doing what they were told by their dear leader.
So you think, and you talk a lot about information or misinformation. You hold on. You talk about words and things that you got to tell the truth. The fight like hell is a leftist speaking point. He was
the video
our democracy, and he then went on to say, because do you believe context matters?
Did he say it or not?
The way that you're saying, absolutely not. I'm going to ask you the question, Tony. Does context matter?
Well, of course it does.
So when you say fight like hell in one breath, and the next sentence say, I want to march down to the Capitol and make your voices peacefully heard, does that mean that, like, fight like hell? Like, did he ever direct? There's a way to say it. If you want destruction and hate to happen at the Capitol, do you say the words, go to the Capitol and fight like hell? Yes. Did he say it like that?
Because you'll never take back.
Play the whole clip.
You have to show strength. You have to be strong.
It was an hour-long speech filled with falsehood and calls to action. You'll never.
Who is this? I don't even know who I got here.
You're literally just you're showing what makes people believe the bullshit. You are showing cuts. If you take things out of context, I can show you a video. Hold on. I can show you a video of 15 Democrats or actors talking about assassinating a president, going and fighting people in public. You have all of these things that are actually violent. He literally in the
actual footage. Without
is it cut?
Problem we have, as far as I'm concerned, single biggest problem. The fake news and the big tech. Big tech is now coming into their own. We beat them 4 years ago. We surprised them. We took them by surprise. And this year, they rigged an election. They rigged it like they've never rigged an election before. And by the way, last night they didn't do a bad job either, if you notice. I'm honest, and I want to thank you. It's just a great honor to have this kind of crowd and to be before you and hundreds of thousands of American patriots who are committed to the honesty of our elections and the integrity of our glorious republic. All of us here today do not want to see our election victory stolen by emboldened radical left Democrats, which is what they're doing, and stolen by the fake news media. That's what they've done and what they're doing. We will never give up. We will never concede. It doesn't happen. You don't concede when there's theft involved. Our country has had enough. We will not take it anymore, and that's what this is all about. And to use a favorite term that all of you people really came up with, we will stop the steal. Today I will lay out just some of the evidence proving that we won this election, and we won it by a landslide. This was not a close election. You know, I say sometimes jokingly, but there's no joke about it. I've been in 2 elections. I won them both, and the second one I won much bigger than the first, okay?
Can we stop there for a moment?
I mean, I'm waiting for I mean, I know where he says it.
But he's saying that he won because, as he stated later on, that he had the most votes of any president or any presidential candidate in history. Well, at one point he did, but the point that keeps getting superseded is that as the night went on and the ballots came in, like in any election whatsoever, then the things that switched because more ballots that were coming from Democratic states or Democratic areas or mail-in votes or were all added in. And that was a very strange thing to me to say, I can't believe that it changed. Well, it does change because it's done in lumps and chunks. It's not done in an even sorted system where they only do this much of a Republican, then this much Democrat. It's done in chunks and lumps and areas, and it comes in all in different pieces. So to say that, and because I know that's an argument that he's going to use, and that stops the steal, but do you see that from the very beginning here, this was the next day, basically, him saying that things were manipulated, changed, stolen. Stop this.
That's not the next day. That's January 6th.
But that over that period of time since November the 4th, he had created this image or this belief in people's minds by repeating it over and over and over. That
my belief was not rooted in Trump. It was my belief was rooted in the fact that there were things that I saw have questions. And again, and I know that you'll use the word debunked later.
Oh,
say it again.
What did you see?
I told you the anecdotal side, and people go, "That's 80 people," but I have a following of, at the time, I had a following of 20,000. Like
I love this one. If you took all 8.7 billion human beings in the world and put us all together in one spot on land, shoulder to shoulder, chest to back, how much land would we need?
God, not much. I make you bet it's not as big as I think. I would say not even the size of Texas. I'll say the size of Rhode Island.
You're close. It's the size of Dallas, where we live, about 16 by 16 square miles. So the perspective that gets shifted is not seeing the big picture of everything. So what you're saying here is that the people, the 80 anecdotal stories you may have heard, are representing the mass, which you may have just heard a little bitty bit of that anecdotal.
Absolutely.
All
absolutely.
Right. So we have to open our mind and think in a bigger picture. That
so this is where I was leading before.
Said that he went to bed or was going to go to bed and the vote was this way, and then he woke up and it was this way. Something went wrong. Well, obviously he's not pulling back and looking at the perspective of the entire event.
Again, there's even things like, and again, I know that you'll slam the movie what is it, 2000 Mules, even though it's never actually been debunked. They just use the word debunked for fun. But say it again.
What would be, okay, so I guess I would have to say to that, what would be your definition of debunked? What would debunk it for you?
Debunk would actually be, by definition, proving that it's false. The only actual, if you look online and all of your journalists that you love, the best they could do, that you respect, I'm sorry, the best that they can do when they say it's been debunked, when you go to Snopes or whatever it is, the debunking is the actual amount of distance that the accuracy that they're using is up to 3 meters, which is 9 feet, which doesn't actually prove anything. To me, 9 feet from a ballot box at 2 o'clock.
Who? 9 feet from what?
So did you see 2000 Mules?
No, I did not see the movie.
Then it's a non-starter. But I would say that you could watch it, and I would encourage you to find a way to debunk that movie, which what it does is it's following. It actually puts tracking and cameras.
Okay, well, we can certainly talk about that, but I think we're still stuck on this whole premise of what's real and what's not real.
Okay, so now I want to get into what's real. You talked, Mike. I was giving a micro. You're right, and that's very difficult to prove. So when I discuss the 2020 election, I go back and I say, look, throw away all the issues with voting, the Dominion shit, bullcrap, leave it alone, stupid. Let's not even all these things. Let's talk about the actual misinformation leading into the election. What was your belief system on the Hunter Biden laptop? Because squashing of information and the manipulation from the Department of Justice and FBI of not allowing real information to go out and then passing it as misinformation, blocking it from social media, which is the town hall, to me, is election tampering.
I'll begin with saying that calling social media the town hall is a grave mistake, because social media is a free-for-all of any information or any lack of information or any thought that comes out there. I think a town hall is in a respectful situation where people actually listen and abide by each other's. And I can say that I definitely disrespected some.
How do most people get their news?
God willing, a respectable journalism category.
Through what channel?
Well, I said, like earlier, I trust NPR, PBS, things that aren't making a profit.
How do people actually get that information?
By reading it, by watching it.
Reading it where? Watching it where?
Online.
On social media.
That's what?
On social media.
No, it doesn't have to be social media. You can go to NPR.com. It's not a social
But
media.
nobody does that. You know that.
Well, I do that.
But yes, but nobody does that.
Yes,
The percentage of people that do you think more people look at news directly at the source of NPR, or do you think they go to NPR's
perhaps that's
Facebook
the
page?
problem.
What's that?
Perhaps that's the problem.
So we
Maybe-
should just go. Okay, that's fine. So you want to put the genie back in the bottle? It's not going to go back in the bottle. So ultimately, when it comes to whether
I
people,
think that you're vastly underestimating the power of people that actually do look at serious journalism and serious news. Only way we can get any information whatsoever is from the news. To put a blanket statement that the news is fake, as Trump has done for the last 8 years, which
I
was
firmly believe the news is garbage. But
a brilliant move by whoever fed him that and taught him that, because it worked. And you know who else did the same thing? And I know you're going to hate the answer. Hitler. It's
okay,
it's a repetition of facts that aren't true. Hitler was able to convince European people, the Jewish people were evil and bad. Why? Because. Why? Because. And it was through repetition, and it was done over and over and over. The same thing. I actually worked a Trump rally at a private person's home, private home here in Dallas about a year ago. I had to go through the federal clearance and all. He was about 80 feet from me, and I got to watch him firsthand. And of course, it was all full of Republican conservatives who, by the way, were very nice, very polite, very kind, although there was a very strange faction of about 16 Asian ladies wearing red bodysuits that showed up. I don't know. I won't go into that. But they were big supporters, and they paid an enormous amount of money to be there. But I stood there and I watched him for the entire time. But what I noticed was that after probably 20 minutes, I was lost. I was trying to pay as much attention as I could, but I'm focusing in, and I'm being told this repetitious thing over and over, and it's wandering and it's wandering, and it's going up here and it's going down there, and there were applause moments. And I found myself thinking, what is he talking about? Because I couldn't make sense of it. It was talking about these stories that
could you not make sense of it, or could you not empathize with a different
I
belief
was
system?
trying to be open-minded, because I was in the presence of a president, and all of his supporters. I wanted to understand, but it was literally rambling. And I know you've seen Trump ramble. I mean, if you can't say that, I mean, he rambles a lot.
Yeah,
And
I don't think he's the best orator. No.
read those quotes. You can
Have
read.
you seen Joe Biden ramble?
We can go there too.
Okay. So at least you're logical in that sense. Okay.
But Joe Biden had it together at one point. Can't tell you where it ended, but it definitely ended. And I'm on that with you. And at the same time, Joe Biden also, and the people around him, came to the conclusion that it was best for him to step down.
Oh, they just realized that. Right.
Well, that's debatable. We'll never actually know. Did they know that coming into how great the regression would be, and no one
Can we get back to the Hunter Biden laptop?
That is the one singular thing that Republicans love to go back to counteract Trump's two instances where he actually was impeached. And we've got Hunter Biden, the son of a president, not a political figure, never elected to any office whatsoever, happens to be the son of a political figure. And to put all of that weight on a laptop and what's in there, that the conversations that were later had and the court testimonies that were had by the people that were involved debunked, as you like to say, that theory that there was no financial record, there was no proof of Biden using any of that. What there is,
that hasn't been debunked at all. That's actually still going through the courts as of right now. That's partially why they decided to plead guilty to that last thing, so that it did not get brought up in discovery.
Well, it's settled. It's settled. He's done at this point. But let's look at the difference, because we're talking about the son of a president, and then we're talking about a president with Zelensky that made a decision to say, hey, we're going to give you what you need, but only if you dig up dirt on my competition. And that was proven with recordings. Like you like video, we got recordings. We have transcripts, people in the office, all of that. Why don't you believe that? That's not
because a simple conversation, there was no quid pro quo. I think that's bullshit to think that there was, because if I were to have a conversation with you, Tony, and I were to be like, hey, like, it's very similar. It's super similar to the conversation. And I think maybe people just see it two different ways. The conversation that he had, I believe, that Trump had, I think, with Kemp about finding the votes. To me, people see that like he's trying to cheat. First off, I also know people from New York. I know the way people talk. I know the way businessmen talk. And like, there's got to be like, where the hell are these votes? It's bullshit. Where's it? The same type conversation that was had with Zelensky. There's got to, and there is, the thing is, hold on, Tony. Hold on. Just because I don't want to keep talking over. When it came to Zelensky, fact is, there was dirt. There was issues with Joe Biden's son. And you're right. Joe Biden, Hunter Biden is not Joe Biden. However, there were all these deals made with Burisma and different foreign powers and in different governments where somehow Hunter Biden, who's unqualified to be in any of these rooms, is all of a sudden there with proximity back to the United States of America. And
be right back. Just have to let him in. Hold on, my cat. Hold on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're good.
Was Zelensky the words that were used, and it reminds me also of the time that Trump called up asking for, what was it, 11,700 votes,
17,000 something, whatever it was. Yeah, that's what that's what I'm giving as my tie with Kemp. It's just a conversation.
Power to attempt to manipulate the system or the situation so that he could achieve what he wanted to get. And that's the same.
You're having a conversation with somebody. I find it very odd that call was recorded the way that it was with Kemp. But fact is, if you're saying this is bullshit, I think I won. Where are these votes? Find these votes. If you're talking, that's not saying go make these votes up. That's saying, is there a precinct we didn't count? Is there
implied? You know what was implied. He wanted
not at all. I will take that to my grave, knowing how people from New York and real business people speak. You say, let's find a way to get this done. That's not cheating.
Find those votes.
What's that?
How was he supposed to find things that have been?
So if you're not realizing the election, although over on the day after the election, the votes come in for weeks. They call things based on where they are in a number, percentages, precincts.
Found where?
What are you talking about?
He asked them to be found. Find these votes for me. Well, where is he supposed to find them?
But he's saying find. If he would say make these up,
they're either there or they're not.
But they're not. No, there's hundreds at least, if not thousands of votes in every state that's
find them.
Say it again.
Why would you have to ask someone to find them? They're either there or they're not.
They're not there, though. Votes don't come in. They're not all done. All of the precincts, all of them don't report. They don't get it the day of the election.
Why would they're there? They will be there. They are there. They're coming in or not. Why?
So find them along. It's like find them as they're coming in. It's a nuance of terms. It's not.
Wow, that's a big stretch, dude.
It's a stretch. It's a stretch to take words, Tony, and say he said find votes, and you're saying he's trying to cheat. That's fine. That's and we're still diverting from the topic at hand. So let me go back. Let me go back to the actual quote that is on camera that Joe Biden was never punished for several years ago, talking about the fact that there was what was he? What was his role in Burisma? I think it was Ukraine, whatever it was. He said this guy wasn't doing this. He was a prosecutor on a case. I said to their government leader, if he's not fired, then they don't get XYZ $1 billion in funding. And he said, by darn it, by dang it. Wouldn't you know that next day that guy was fired? Let me see the quote.
On the line is Secretary of State and two other individuals, Jordan and Mr. Germany. With him, you also have the attorneys that represent the president, Kurt and Alex, and Cleta Mitchell, who is not the attorney of record, but has been involved.
Good for the introduction.
I know this call. This is a 30-minute call.
Will be flipping to us very shortly. And but
this is Rasenberger.
Yeah, this is the investigation call. I've listened to this whole call, which to me makes me go, he's being very clear. He was never looking to cheat. He was simply saying there's votes missing. There was issues at the. He's talking very specifically about the three.
Listen, for just a moment.
Of the people voted. That's not too good. In Pennsylvania, they had well over 200,000 more votes than they had people voting.
And where did that come from?
That's actually, hold on, pause that. I'll tell you why that is. That's actually a true statement. So Pennsylvania changed so you know how Nebraska this last month decided not to change their law where they would make it a winner take all state, right? You understand that?
Sorry, I did.
You're good. So Nebraska this last month decided that they would not make their state a winner take all state. That would help Trump. There was one Republican that was an ex-Democrat, and he decided, he was the deciding vote, said no, because it's about a month and a half from the election. I actually don't disagree with that. I understand. What Pennsylvania did is they changed their voting regulations and rules about 2 months before the election. They called it a COVID situation, allowed people to do last minute registrations and to allow from different counties and mail-in votes, which caused there to be more. And I don't know if it was 200,000, but there was well over the amount. I can't remember, but I know it was well over the amount of registered voters voted in the state of Pennsylvania because of the rule change a month and a half before.
It was a once in a lifetime extreme situation that was based on COVID. It didn't come out of the blue because Trump was there. It was based on the fact that people couldn't or wouldn't leave their homes and go to polling places. It had nothing to do with it being about Trump. It had everything to do with about an infectious virus that we did not know the extent of which it would cause damage. And
so it's still suspicious. There's hundreds. Again, for two very unpopular guys with the opposite group, it's very uncommon that we had the biggest voter turnout in history. Shocking. So when you bring up the fact that states like Pennsylvania had more people voting than registered, it's something worth talking about. He's just discussing that, which is an actual conversation point.
Because it was a very big dichotomy. It was a very big two different sides that were extremely different. And the big difference was was based on what needed to. I mean, the same way Trump, the reason there was such a voter turnout is so many people, 84 million voting for Joe Biden, 75 million for Donald Trump, were there because they wanted to defeat what was going on, and they did defeat what was going on.
I really want to I want to go back to the whole Hunter Biden laptop that you keep spinning away from.
I'm going to say to that, Republicans always want to go back to the laptop.
Because let me tell you why. So exit polls, or not exit polls, post-election polls, when you look at states that would have flipped the election, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, or no, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, they were decided by under 20,000 each state. It was very minimal. So then when they did,
you got the Hunter Biden laptop. That's
so
it.
Say it again.
That's it. You got that. That's the point.
Can I finish? So the Hunter Biden laptop, when they did post-election polling, was enough of a percentage. It actually shifted the vote anywhere from 2 to 4% in some of the people that had voted. So
explain that, shifted the vote. His laptop shifted the vote. How?
They did polls. They did polls in.
Who are they?
Say it again.
Who are they?
Pollsters. This is stuff that's 3.5 years old. You can Google it. I know you believe the journalist. It's going to be hard to find because conservative media is hard to find.
You tell me the fact. You give me the fact. Who pollstered?
You're asking 3.5 years ago for the polls. Let's see Casey, if you're watching, can you find somewhere in the needle in the haystack a story of the 3.5 years ago? Because those polls were evident then, and I believe it was somewhere around February or March. What?
They were evident that what?
So they did the polls in these states, in multiple states. But if you look at those states, what the polls showed is that they had anywhere from 2 to 4%, enough where you only needed
what?
People so the way they said, if the Hunter Biden laptop story was not suppressed, this was the actual poll. If the Hunter Biden laptop story was not suppressed, would that have changed your vote?
Their vote for his father.
Correct. Would that have made you either not vote or vote for Donald Trump? And it was a very small percentage.
Son had in his laptop, which the most egregious point in the laptop for you was what?
What do you want? The fact that the son was a absolute criminal, the fact that he had ties
Wait.
to foreign governments,
Criminal, and okay, but
drug addict,
what,
dealer, had young
what,
children, was sleeping with his fucking niece. Like, what's
what
that?
did Joe Biden do
This is
that was in the laptop?
so the Democrats love to stand on the fact that they thought that Don Jr. was a cokehead. They love to present that to the media. They'll talk about how shady the business dealings of the Trump
Ask
kids
me
are.
about that all you want. I want you to tell me what's relevant to
If
Joe
you
Biden.
can't raise a child, you can't be the president. You can't raise a country. That's it. Again, I'm not
Wait, what
that. So you're asking what conservative voters will see, and I'm telling you,
country?
Tony, hold on a second. I mean, the Democrat ideal is rooted in emotion. So if somebody has an emotional response to seeing something that goes, wow, his son's a real mess up. His son also has ties. Why is his son working for all of these governments? I don't know who the big guy is, but it does raise some eyebrows. So enough information that would.
Democrats?
So again,
Are your parents Democrats?
they were. My mom was.
Have they switched?
Absolutely.
They've gone Republican now?
Well, my dad's dead, but yeah, my mom is 100% Republican. We're both pro-choice Republicans. We're very weird people.
Regardless. So you're saying that a grown-up adult is still the product of their parent. A grown-up adult is their decisions and their actions as a grown-up, as an adult, are still to be blamed on.
When you start to look at the fact that they were put on boards of foreign nations, it starts to go past that. Like an unfortunate drug addict son, like right now, Kamala's daughter-in-law, a little bit hairy, like she's got some issues. Again, I'm not putting
Kamala?
Huh? Exactly. That one really doesn't, because she's not doing foreign dealings. She's not doing
Then what does
$100,000 paintings.
Hunter have to do with Joe?
Because he actually worked often hand in hand with his father. He showed up at events. He showed up at political events. He worked on foreign boards that he got the job because of his father. There's no way that based on his background, he would have said jobs. He is directly intertwined with his father, which the laptop shows it was suppressed by our own Department of Justice and by our own government. That's a question. So again, the government was against Donald Trump to not allow that story to be presented and deem it Russian disinformation.
So why is it that it was suppressed, and by whom, and when it was suppressed and by them? What still is the rational reasoning for it being Joe Biden's fault when there was never any tie found between Joe Biden and the things that you're claiming are on this laptop?
You know, there's a key and there's a lock, right? So in order to open it, you have to actually take the energy to put the two together. It's very basic. Like you're in denial if you're not seeing that there's not a tie between Joe Biden and Hunter and all these countries. And the question I have for you is, why was it suppressed? So do you believe that it was suppressed?
Forever. We can talk about this all night. How about we talk about the debate?
Okay, let's do that.
All right, because we can go back. We can hash out things, for years. And there's
you believe in facts, but you're not allowing other opinion. Like
I would be happy.
I can't be fully factual.
Bit of it.
Okay, I can't be fully factual. I can't be fully factual that the election was stolen. I'm giving presentable facts that are decent.
Somewhat.
You tried playing two videos that had nothing on it. So, all right, let's talk about the debate.
Recall. You can't. I mean, I was looking it up instantly. Sorry.
Okay.
It was not like I planned for it.
Well, I know, but I'm saying, like, all right.
Okay, let's skip.
So, what do you think of I'm going to be honest. I'm going to lead the conversation about the Trump and Kamala debate. Kamala won. Kamala won that debate. I will be honest with you. I was disappointed. I was frustrated. I think that although Trump lost, Kamala didn't really provide any information. But she got under his skin. A debate is won by getting underneath somebody's skin. So she won that debate. I will give that. I think anybody
last night that JD Vance won that debate.
Okay, good. So we're starting from a place of at least some sensibility. Anybody that says last night that JD Vance didn't win, I think is
winning being, as you're saying, I believe a presidential or vice presidential debate should be more about information and responses and true facts or true intentions on either party's side to present to the American people. I think there's several types of debates. We have college debates and debate club debates. And those debates are based on a point system in which one gets a point for counteracting the others, etc. That's not what I think that in this situation we should be judging it on, like who got who worse. That's a little bit.
And that wasn't this debate. This debate was a policy debate, and also who was more articulate and
Watched
who
you post
sharp.
this morning, and I watched that you were talking about that the two of them were agreeing on many things. And I thought that Waltz missed an opportunity to draw a difference division in the purpose of winning the presidential election and vice presidential. He missed the opportunity to draw a stronger line between the two of them. And he was very civil. They were both very civil. And I think that J.D. Vance absolutely was very cordial and very kind and very calm. I thought that Tim Waltz got very, his shoulders went up. He got this high pitched voice. It's kind of like what Biden did in that horrible debate with Trump. And just the personality, he forgot to breathe.
Do you think Waltz or Kamala performed better?
Oh, definitely Kamala.
Well, I think Waltz. I think Kamala won, but I think Waltz actually answered questions. He actually had some policy, even though I disagree with that. I think he was he was better suited.
American people, as you said, watching TV, it's not good. Or as I should have said, people want good TV. It's unfortunate, but they're going to go with their gut feeling of what's good TV. That's typically the American mind. Who got who, watching wrestling match, etc. But I think that Tim was not himself. That J.D. Vance was not himself, based on the comments, the things that he said, and the shit that he has stirred up with they're eating your cats, they're eating your dogs. I mean, come on.
How has he stirred shit up? Because he's not. I mean, he's talked about the importance in Springfield is not about the dogs and the cats. He's talked about
things to get people to pay attention to Springfield, Ohio. It's like, those Haitians are there legally. They are legal immigrants, and we have to remember legal and illegal are a big thing. Let me get on a point.
Did he not articulate why it's a gray area for them to be considered the legal?
Whether or not it's a gray area, it was made into law. Period.
By Kamala, and it's causing havoc in Springfield, Ohio.
Whether you agree or not with the law, it was made into law.
But he explained it, and it's causing havoc in Springfield, Ohio, from people there's people watching right now from Springfield, Ohio, whether it's the cats and the dogs.
He caused the havoc.
What's that again? I'll tell you. So again, the issues in Springfield are right now their car insurance is through the roof because the amount of accidents in that state, they base it off of the zip code. Haitians are not having driver's license there. Again, I don't think they're bad people, but they don't know how to assimilate.
Driver's license there?
They don't. They're literally getting passes and they're just driving. There is a over 100% increase in accidents in Springfield, Ohio in the last year.
Makes a person a good driver.
If you go out of the bubble, you can talk to people from Springfield and they'll tell you it's dangerous. And I've watched very bipartisan left-leaning video. Go ahead.
Well, just such broad statements that Haitians don't have driver's licenses, that a driver's license makes you a better driver. No, it doesn't.
They've never driven, and they're having to drive because in America we drive.
They didn't have a car in Haiti?
I'm telling you, based on statistics, you like facts. I know you want to stand up for the Haitians. There is a massive amount of accidents happening in Springfield since the mass migration.
What kind of accidents?
Car accidents.
Involving Haitians. Okay. And where are you getting that fact?
It's on, you like video. It's on videos. I'm going to encourage you to look at this. And you can also look at the statistics in Springfield, or you could talk to people in Springfield.
Hey, Siri, what are the statistics involving Haitians and car wrecks in Springfield?
This should be good. Asking an Apple app.
Well, it goes to the internet, which is where you get your news and I get mine. Come on. It's only not convenient for you when it's not what you're asking.
I live on doing this research. and I see it, I read it, I go through it, and I love when people are like, "Bring it
Well,
up." Meanwhile, you brought up 2 videos that didn't have shit in it, but okay.
Well, you can keep going back to that, but that was actually
I mean, so do you also believe that that Donald Trump said there are fine people on both sides without the full context? Do you still believe that that's a white supremacist comment?
the fact that he said that there were fine people on both sides.
Okay.
Well, that's
You really don't believe in facts. You don't believe in context. You believe in just specific verb. You believe in words taken out of context. That's frustrating.
well that no, because that's not the reason that you have this podcast, and the reason I've realized now at this point that why you are successful at what you're doing is that you have the same ability, and I can increase my argumentative place with you, and I can just throw out things. But what I'm trying to do with you, and hopefully you've realized by now, is to make you define who is they, make you define what your facts are coming from, where you're getting your information, and give me specific examples of it happening. You say you read all of these
Okay,
things.
so here's a New York Post article. Again, you're not going to believe New York Post. So I'm trying to find something else. But currently, and I'm trying to find where they pulled the
So
statistic.
right now you're demeaning me in order to say, oh wait, I didn't type fast enough for you to find the information that I thought I could find quickly. So you're going to put me down, and
I'm
you're
not putting you down. I'm not putting you down. I just know you're not going to respect. Well, this is on MSN. This is on. I mean, it's from a New York Post article. You asked for the fact, so I'm trying to find. I'm trying to find the proof.
That's the fact that
What's that?
Haitians are causing massive car wrecks in Haiti, in Springfield. Give me that info. Where is that? Where is this statement?
So fatal car accidents in Springfield, Ohio increased 4-fold last year. So that's the fatal car accidents. That's not just the fender benders. So fatal car accidents, and
I say that car wrecks in Springfield actually decreased by tenfold. Did you know that?
where are you seeing that?
Exactly.
I'm literally, you asked for evidence. I'm giving you a news article, which again, I know you don't like. I'm sure you don't like.
Anecdotal. I'm giving you my evidence. It's anecdotal, but
You're literally making it up. I've read it. You just don't believe that I've read it. And now I'm giving you an article.
I've read it.
You read that. You read that. That accidents decreased tenfold in Springfield, Ohio.
And you read that they increased fourfold, right? Right.
You're literally, at this point, we've had a decent conversation. You're looking foolish now. Go ahead.
How's that?
Where are you finding that information?
Where are you finding your information?
And I'm telling you where I literally looked something up to find one of the pieces of information. I'm literally providing you with a fact and you're refusing to hear it.
Tell me, where is the information? Where'd you get it?
New York Post that is in an MSN.com posting. Again, as I've said, you probably don't like New York Post. So I'm looking for more. Traffic accidents involving injuries in Springfield have also risen.
Could you find it quickly and pull up the right article?
What's that?
Could you find it for me quickly and pull up the correct article that you're quoting?
Oh, do you want to see it? Is that what you're asking for? Oh, I'm sorry. I literally thought you were just. I'm okay. I
was trying to find it for you. You find it for me.
I apologize. I couldn't understand what you were asking. I thought. Here's the New York Post, but shared by MSN. Fatal car accidents in Springfield, Ohio increased fourfold last year. Post is what?
Who is writing this?
The New York Post writers, Alex Oliveira, which again, I like you asked that because often I will then look at some of the articles of the person to see what they write about typically.
Sure.
Again, traffic accidents involving injuries in Springfield have also risen. Again, this is not all traffic accidents.
I can't read it, but that's okay. I just wanted to see who due to what. They've risen due to what?
I'm sure it's just happenstance. 14% increase in 2023. Again, the population has had a mass increase of people that typically don't have. Oh, look, whatever. The people that typically don't have licenses. About 20,000 have moved to the city. Of
people,
Haitians.
Where does it?
Haitian legal based on Kamala's plan. Migrants.
It says Haitians.
Yes.
I small print. Sorry.
I'm sorry. There's Haitians. There's again, anecdotal quote. I'm constantly stressed and anxious about driving around with my kids. I have to drive defensively now. Gets quite amped up even more when my children are in the car. They've seen reckless driving from the newly arrived residents. I'm hyper. This is another quote. I'm just very, very hyper vigilant. Again, there is a lot of
Thank you.
places like this, and
I
they will
understand.
talk about.
I get
Okay.
you. I'm not arguing.
So they will talk about that, and what that's causing is an increase in local insurance rates. Also, there is issues with housing. There's videos where they have interviewed Haitians, and many of them say they're getting government assistance and funding for a few months when they get there, or up to a year if they get a job, then they no longer get the benefits. They're getting a job in the local factory that they have, and then at the same time,
Well, they're here legally. Are they not allowed to work?
no, I've got no problem with them working. I've got no problem with them
Okay.
working.
So why are you bringing it up as a point?
Okay, I'm just saying that that's when their benefits run out. So but the thing is, they're getting our own taxpayer benefits, and then at the same time, they're living in there is often they're getting free housing, which I don't know how or why, but I'm seeing Haitians get interviewed. I've watched the video. You're going to ask exactly where the link is. I don't have it on the top of my fingers. I sit and I watch bullshit all the time. I watched the Haitian right there talk about multiple Haitians say, I either get this at $500, whereas there's people actually getting kicked out. There's government assistance to homeowners that own a property if they allow some of the Haitian migrants in, so they get a bonus. So they're kicking out the actual people that already live there, some of which are veterans.
And are we making the true distinction between illegal immigrants and immigrants that are here legally?
At least in your world, Tony, they're legal. They are granted.
Whoa. Why is that in my world?
Because I think what Kamala did is bullshit. I think we should not be funding people. Did the Haitian Tony? Did the Haitian illegally enter the country?
That power, Kamala, the Congress of the United States of America, a large group of people representing the entire country, did that. Not a vice president of the United States.
It was a leftist decision, and it was, of course, signed because of Kamala Harris being the deciding vote.
The way our democracy works, by the majority rules, the majority.
So the administration that is destroying our country with poor immigration laws allowed them to be temporarily legal, allowed them to be temporarily legal, granted a specific status.
The majority of the United States citizens.
Sure, which is why we need to change that. So, okay, so they were granted this status.
That's convenient for you?
What's that?
Is that inconvenient for you?
I think it's inconvenient to the people. It's inconvenient for the people in Springfield. It's inconvenient for the Springfield, Ohio.
The way the Constitution of the United States works is not convenient for you.
No, it's 100% fine. But I'm willing to.
Heard.
So no, Tony, it's great. I think it's great that decision was made because Are you done?
Are you done?
You're asking a question, then talking over me.
I'm questioning.
You said, is it an issue for me? I say absolutely not. It's not an issue that it was done based on our government. We had people that entered the country illegally, that based on a law by Congress, they did enter illegally. Based on a law by Congress, they're being allowed to then have temporary status that is being given based on something created by our leftist government. And it's affecting the people of Springfield, Ohio to a ridiculous extent where they're having these issues with people that don't truly fully fit in to that populace, and taxpayer dollars are going towards that. That's the issue that I'm seeing. And the reason, last thing, is because I do have freedom of speech in the United States of America. Although I do believe it was legally passed, I can vehemently say how big of a mistake it is showing to be based on what is happening in places, not just like Springfield, Ohio, but places like Springfield, Ohio, including it, are showing why progressive issues like that can't be done by our government. So I'm saying why it's such a bad thing.
Because they're eating cats and dogs?
So let's talk about the cats and the dogs. I think that was a terrible decision for him to say that during the debate. But do you believe cats and dogs have been eaten by a Haitian at all in Ohio?
No.
So
story, if you'll do further research, the story is a woman who was in another town. A white woman.
Was that in Ohio?
It was in Ohio, but it was in Springfield. It was
Canton, Ohio. So you have a video of a woman, a Haitian woman.
A white woman, not a Haitian.
No, that's a Haitian. There was a Haitian woman.
Can I finish? And the woman ends up the woman who posted this recants it and says, I didn't mean for this to happen. I didn't mean for it to be the Haitians, because it wasn't. It happened in another town, and it happened with a white woman, and no one can prove that she actually ate the cat. And if it's a cat, and if she did eat it, it's a cat. It's not a group of Haitian immigrants coming in and eating cats and dogs.
Again, I don't think it's an epidemic, but fact is, that was a Haitian black woman that ate the cat. She recanted this. She goes, I apologize that it blew up, but it was Tony. You want facts. You
No.
don't. So
that aren't real to not.
There's a body cam. There's a body cam footage, Tony.
Body footage. Find your people. Let's see it.
You haven't seen the body. Help me out, guys. Body cam footage, please.
Of the woman eating a cat.
Of the Haitian woman eating the cat, and you didn't see the cop putting the flashlight on her teeth and all that stuff.
I'm sure it's from a credible source, and it's really exactly what happened.
It's the police cam video, Tony.
Okay. Show me. I'm ready. I can handle it.
Okay. I'm looking.
At the woman eating the cat.
Eating cat. Oh, I'm getting a message. Casey is on it.
Let's see it.
Here we go. Loading. Still loading. Load it again. It's spinning. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have another source, Casey? For some reason, that video is not working.
Video shows an arrest for alleged offenses against a cat. The woman in the video was born in the U.S. and it was filmed in Canton, a different town.
In Canton. Where do you see that she was
guilty by reason of insanity to charge of cruelty to companion animals? One version of the video shared on Facebook is overlaid text reading, "The Haitian immigrant woman was arrested for eating her neighbor's pet." Other posts claim the woman is an illegal immigrant. In the clip, which appears to be police body-worn camera footage, a man's voice can be heard asking a person crouched on the ground, "What did you do? Why did you kill the cat?" The same voice later asks, "Did you eat that cat?" It comes amid unevidenced claims amplified by Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump during Wednesday night's debate. The video of the woman, which is being shared as evidence for the theories about pet eating in Springfield, is actually unconnected. It shows the arrest of a woman in Canton, Ohio, 41 miles away from Springfield, on August 16th. The person in the footage has been named as Alexis Farrell. The Canton Police Department confirmed to Full Fact over email that she is a U.S. citizen born in Canton. Miss Farrell has been charged with cruelty to companion animals, according to Stark County Court. It is alleged she killed the cat by stomping on it before eating it. According to local U.S. media, Miss Farrell entered a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. A competency hearing has been scheduled for the 15th of October. Full Fact has covered key claims from the presidential debate. It's important to consider whether videos and images you see on social media are accurate or whether they could be misleading. Our guides about verifying images and videos can help you do this. So, no.
So what I do want to take from all of that, first off, the woman did eat a cat, but
a white woman from another town. And so
no, she's not white. She's not white. She's black, but she's not. It appears as though she's not Haitian. So
why was an entire population of Haitian immigrants legally there in Springfield punished for the actions of this woman in another town that was actually a U.S. citizen born in the U.S.? Why? Because J.D. Vance made this up, and he admitted to Dana Bash on television, and I can show you that clip, where he said, yes, I have to do this for people to pay attention to what's going on. He admitted full forcedly that he made the fucking thing up. And that's all there is to it. And then Trump held on to it because he wanted to, and he got there on the presidential stage with the presidential debate and had the audacity and balls to stand there and tell the American public that these immigrants who were completely innocent were eating their pets, eating their dogs, eating their cats, and said it out loud. And if that's not pure freaking insanity and pure misleading public lying, then I don't know what is. And for a person that is in that capacity or wanting to be in that capacity as a presidential nominee to do that is so, if that had happened even 20 years ago, he would have been, it would have been over. But he has leaked, he has slowly infested the minds of people that we let things like that. That's okay. So grab her pussy, so, lie 35,000 times in public stage, go ahead. It's all right. I'm going to make things up. I'm going to say things. And so we're allowing it because we're being conditioned into it. And that's my problem. And that's why I feel, as I earlier said, that I see most Trumpsters as being victims, because I don't think that they're aware of what's actually happening to them, because it's happening in a slow phase, methodical form. And they're being told that an apple is an orange and a banana is a pickle. And if enough people around you, not
That's
all
a very esoteric thought. I want to give you credit first off. Can I give you credit for a second?
Finish. If the people around you, the ones that surround you, are saying this to you over and over, and you feel somewhat pressured or want to believe what they're seeing, and that the pickle is a cat or the couch is a lamp, you're going to eventually go, you know what? I'm going to go sit on the lamp, which is a couch. And it's a mind fuck that is happening. And it happened to the point 100 years ago, 75 years ago, where a man was able to convince a normal population of people that a certain race of people, just like what was attempted to be done by J.D. Vance and Donald Trump against the Haitians in the community by eating cats and dogs, was to turn them into animals and to turn them into beasts, as you like to use the word, and to turn them into these horrible, devilish creatures.
Whoa, when did I say beasts?
Is it opens the door.
When did I say beasts? Don't put words in my mouth about
you
a
said
race.
About J.D. Vance being a beast. And I said,
and you were saying Hitler and all that stuff.
No,
yeah.
So Satan is actually
Satan, yeah, because we use a terminology that's modern. I got to stop you. So I want to give you credit. What?
Why do you have to stop me?
Because you're rambling. I'm giving you credit.
I'm rambling. Okay.
I am. I'm giving you credit. I'm trying to give you a compliment because you taught me something about the Canton story. First off, she's not white. She is black, which again, race doesn't matter. It was a misinformation point that apparently local news has since corrected, but it was a woman eating a cat. So again, I think it was stupid. You're right that Trump brought that up in a fucking debate. You are right. That was as dumb as it gets. What's that?
Brought it up at all.
Again, not literally. I really hated the performance of Trump after that debate. I have to tell you, I'm honest. You're right. Across the board, but now you're bringing up the devil and Hitler and all this stuff, and you brought it up earlier, so I have to bring up a point.
But I wasn't really talking about the devil. It was just what I was referring to that got us into this situation was the last thing that we talked about online.
Right, and I want to bring up the fact that you brought up the kind of you kind of had the, I know you're going to hate to hear this, the Hitler statement about Trump. So with Trump, when you're talking about the way he feels about the media, you're talking about the fact that Trump did kind of the same techniques and tactics that Hitler had when it came to the Nazi Germany and programming that Jews are bad. So Trump has said a couple things. He hates politicians and he hates the media. Those are two bodies.
Why?
Because again, I'm not going to get derailed. I'm going to tell you that's what he hates. Just let's go with me here. Now, the Democrats, including Kamala Harris, specifically, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have demonized MAGA Republicans, which actually represents human beings and citizens. Well, I shouldn't say human beings because politicians are human beings. Represents citizens of America, and they've brainwashed people to think like you do that MAGA is this brainwashed, terrible group of people that are not really worthwhile to America. So that's actually much more of a Hitler technique. Go ahead.
That they're brainwashed. I didn't say terrible.
You think they're less than?
No, I think that they have been misled.
About give me like something that I'm misled about.
Well, let's. God, that's such a big question. I'll
ask you a question if you're looking. So, are you vaccinated? Did you get the COVID vaccine?
Vaccinated in the beginning. I had COVID in June of 2020, and before the vaccination was available, I got vaccinated in March of 2021, and I've had 3 other vaccinations since then. And I out that since the vaccinations have occurred, and I believe the statistic worldwide at this point is that 78 to 80% of people have been vaccinated. And turns out none of us have third arms. Our kids aren't turning out with mental disability.
Yeah, all the heart conditions are completely made up. So I have a question. So clearly you do things.
Throw that
Clearly
out.
you do things based on your health, correct? So you got vaccinated based on your health.
I got vaccinated based on wanting to contribute to the point of trying to stop the virus. And we all as human beings are contributing of passing on the virus, because that's how virulence works and virology works, is that we are the carriers and we are the ones that spread it. And as it spreads, it mutates and it gains strength. It becomes more virulent. And
Sure.
that's why I did it, because I wanted to be part of the solution instead of the problem.
So you keep getting boosters to be part of the
I
solution.
have not had a booster in 2 years because I've had COVID now 3 times, and I've gotten to the point where I honestly a little bit. It's now the current version of COVID is very similar to the flu, and so
Oh,
I'm not concerned with it killing me like it was back then, killing people. 1.5 million Americans alone. It did, but it is mutated into different versions because of the vaccine. Made a huge part of it, because it was able to derail it from moving too quickly and too fast and mutating too strong, and it kind of squelched to a degree. And that's according to virologists and scientists. And it made a huge impact on the course of the virus. And
yeah.
now,
I mean, you
not something
I get it. You got vaccinated. You had 3 sets of post shots. You haven't had shots in 2 years. You've had COVID 3 times. So clearly the vaccine works. So you believe that. And meanwhile, if that's part of the, you're also talking about being led and misled and follow. You're also smoking a cigarette indoors.
God, it's my weakness. Sorry. Well, you can throw that at me all you want. But
I find the irony.
the fact is, I'm actually smoking it on screen, which I find ironic that you would bring that up, because yeah, I could hide that, but I'm not.
No,
But
I don't care that you're not hiding it, but it shows that you have a very selective scientific belief system, clearly.
no, I believe that smoking is harmful. I completely do. I have no doubt about it. Absolutely. I'm not arguing that whatsoever. But I
Did you
count.
smoke during COVID?
I'm sorry.
Did you smoke during COVID?
That's an interesting question. Did I when I wanted to? Yes. I don't know to what degree, because I was out of it, a lot of it, because it really made a huge effect on my mind. It really did. I got long COVID that lasted quite a while, and I had a lot of symptoms that took quite a long time to go away.
Got it.
But smoking, if you want to go into that whole world, uh, that's a choice that I obviously make, but I'm not saying that it's safe, and I'm not discounting its pains and problems. But I don't think that that has necessarily anything to do with COVID and getting vaccinated.
No, no, actually, I believe I have an odd belief on nicotine and the receptors, and I actually think that if you look at statistics, smokers were actually the ones that did the best. That's why I was just randomly having a conversation on that one. Smokers actually fared the best in terms of survival rates, especially with other comorbidities. What's that?
That's odd.
Yeah, because they kept telling people in the beginning, like, if you're a smoker, that's one of your comorbidities. It turns out obesity was obviously the worst.
My mother smoked for 35 years, and she died of a brain tumor. And my father never smoked, and he died of throat cancer.
Yeah, right. Super weird. So, no, that was just a conversational point. There's research and data that showed that those that use smokers, there's actually people that have been treated with long COVID with Nicorette. Interestingly enough, because nicotine has a very similar binding area.
Actually read something about that, but it was way back in the recesses of my mind that nicotine does have something to do. Yeah, they still haven't, unfortunately, come up with a combination of anything that it's only taken time because it was muscle aches, it was fatigue, it was standing in the corner of the room feeling like you were on a bottle of Benadryl. And
do you have any autoimmune issues?
I do have celiac disease, which is gluten autoimmune.
That's why you had a bad bout of. I mean, autoimmune was a huge issue for people with COVID.
It was unfortunate, but it really shaped a lot of not only my life, but the people around me and the whole world. And I find it unfortunate that people have seemingly forgotten that it all happened. That it's not happening like it used to, and it's not affecting people's lives like it used to. It is more of a manageable virus. But at the same time, what happened happened, and at least in my world, it made a huge impact on a lot of people. And I only found my sanity by finding all those other people that it did have such an impact on, and realizing that I wasn't losing my mind. But that's neither here nor
I think it controlled a lot. I mean, I mean, I didn't fare great. Like I'm an extrovert. I needed people, and it was weird.
Oh
So
yeah, definitely. It kept
we,
us all
we we're
isolated.
having a long call. I do want to get. I want to get to one last thing, and anytime you want to have these.
Oh, dude, I'll do it with you every night of the week.
Oh, fuck yeah, we'll do this again. But I do want to, because I mean, this is we're doing a wide scope.
Sure.
I love arguing.
Great, too. And I'm
So,
in your
and I think that I know that you and I are never going to agree on politics, but I think that it's an interesting. I mean, it's an interesting conversation. So
because we can empathize with one another, and I can try to put myself in your shoes, and I can try to see how you're seeing things, and I can realize that you believe you are just as right as I believe I am as right, and we need to
yeah,
realize about each other. And so it should be a respectful conversation where we hear each other and we don't try to change each other. If
that's
the
and you said that in the beginning.
you're talking to, then you're going to be frustrated, you're going to be pissed off, and you're going to walk away mad. If the goal is
Never walk away. I love these. I'll never
heard,
walk away mad.
if your goal is to be heard and to express yourself to another American about how you feel and what you think, then and the other person is willing to listen, then that you should be satisfied. If
Yeah.
both in the party and the group are willing to hear one another out.
I would like to be able to humanize this kind of conversation. Again,
Yes,
I
normalize.
normalize and humanize, because again, there was a research study done by CNN recently where they had kids. They actually interviewed a whole school's worth of kids, and it was 6-1 where the kids that had Democrat parents or Kamala voting parents, 6-1 that the kids said that their parents would not allow them to go to a Trump supporter's house. That explains to me, and that doesn't explain. That highlights the fact that the Democrat Party is the party of division at this point. I think that's
Well, but you have to. What you're not doing is you're not considering all of the factors that brought the, if you want to call it the Democratic Party and their children, to coming to that point. You're leaving out all of the instances that caused such a belief, and we have to not do that, because it's very important that we not dismiss what has happened and the things that were said and the
like
things.
what? No, I'm not going to let you go on that one. Like what?
Sure. Actually, I kind of.
We're talking about human. We're not talking about politics. Do you think left and right politicians are garbage at this point?
Politicians, in my mind, are not the point as much as human beings letting themselves being guided by politicians.
So do you think our government is broken? Both sides.
I definitely think that, yes. I'll give that a yes.
Okay.
There was something I was writing about this morning, but I'm trying to find it. I made lots of notes just for you.
Just for me.
Things such as, the healthcare. Vance saying Donald Trump could have destroyed the Affordable Care Act. Instead, he worked in a bipartisan way to ensure that Americans had access to affordable care. That's false. As President, Trump worked to undermine and repeal the Affordable Care Act. He cut millions of dollars in federal funding for ACA outreach and navigators who help people sign up for health coverage. He enabled the sale of short-term health plans that don't comply with the ACA consumer protections and allowed them to be sold for longer durations, which siphoned people away from the health law's marketplaces.
Yeah.
Vance said,
Free market.
make a really good argument that Trump salvaged Obamacare, which was doing disastrously until Donald Trump came about. Donald Trump could have destroyed the program. Instead, he worked in a bipartisan blah, blah, blah. During his presidency, so the Biden administration has reversed the course from Trump's management of the Affordable Care Act. Increased subsidies have made premiums more affordable in the marketplaces, and enrollment has surged. The uninsurance rate has dropped to its lowest point ever during the Biden administration.
It's also it's most unaffordable it's been since it started. So there's a lot of good points in that. So first off,
True.
I would like you to tell me how Biden has saved it. Like that last part where you said Biden has reversed the course.
Well, say things like Biden has saved it or Kamala allowed all the immigrants in, we're making these really big statements that really are not within the power
So
of.
that's not a true statement.
It's not. I'm not saying that's not a true statement. I'm saying that we, as Americans, tend to concentrate our belief in the system into one person, the president. We forget about the House of Representatives and the Senate.
Yeah, but executive orders do matter. The insulin issue was an executive ordered by Donald Trump. Again, it was just to Medicare patients through
Kamala
him, but
was
then it
not
was
one that did that. It was Congress that did that.
no. That was an executive order. You can double check that. That was an executive order, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was an executive order that was only for us. And they make it like Trump said it for everybody. It was for Medicare patients, I believe, and it was to keep it, I believe, at the $35 mark, which Biden reversed on day one, and then he brought it back and tried to make it a little bit broader, and then it was approved by Congress. Go ahead.
Biden reversed the insulin order on day one. Is that what you're saying?
That was one of his executive orders that he signed on day one, including the end of the Keystone Pipeline, all that.
Okay. Well, I'd have to look into that.
Okay, go ahead. And again, we could look into it another time, but here's the thing.
But the deal is, dude, Anthony, you on your show right here, you're just saying shit. But you could say anything you want, and I'm not doing that.
I agree. So I get what you're saying. And like, you look at
that I talk shit. You're throwing out shit so fast that I can't fact check.
But I've also built a reputation.
I've never heard before, and then and then you say I'm talking over you. You could throw this out for your supporters, whatever you want, and they're gonna listen because they're watching your show.
I've also built a reputation, and I typically.
Chances are they're not going to listen to what I'm saying because I'm the opposing view. But
I'm listening.
I tell you that dinosaurs are living in fucking Nebraska right now, and try to convince your viewers of that. And you could say the same thing. Who are they going to believe the most? You.
I literally just encourage you to go look up the information. I was just
you to stop throwing shit out like that, like fact statements that you don't have factual evidence
just because you don't like it. Here, I encourage you. I even said I encourage you to look up the exact thing I'm saying, but that wasn't exactly.
You better back it up with fact. You better back it up with a source. You better back it up the way the world.
What I'm going to tell you. What I was trying to say is like somebody like Steven Crowder always has the ability where he has a list of all of the facts that he shows, correct? Mm-hmm. And the thing is, that's a multi-million-dollar show with a whole bunch of people that are in charge of just posting the facts. I've read many, and I've also built a reputation of fact checking in real time, doing shows, proving it as I go. Do you believe that the human brain can store information over a period of time, especially somebody that has a moderately decent IQ that is pretty intelligent? Can they store that information without having 500 articles at their disposal at all times?
Is PolitiFact a credible source for you?
Yes and no.
Okay.
The actual result that it gives, no. I think Snopes, same way. The result that it gives, no. But if you read the data, they do a good job with research. And if you peel through the actual research, it typically gives the truth. So okay. I know the PolitiFact that you're looking at regarding the insulin prices. I've actually read exactly that. Don't look at the result. Read the actual information below.
Okay. But we've agreed the PolitiFact, a nonpartisan group think tank that is not looking for profit, nonprofit organization that is just as equally honest with both sides of the coin.
I will not agree with that.
You think that they're liberal leaning, even though they're stating fact, they're leaning liberal.
Their results are very not stating fact. Their information is very factual, but when they give their results and their readings, no, it is not.
Their information is very factual, but when they give the result, it's not. How does that?
You're playing stupid. So,
I'm not stupid. I'm trying to figure out what
a PolitiFact says mostly false, true, semi-true, whatever it is. That part is garbage because they know that's where it's leaning. They know the American people doesn't read through the data. The data below, much the same as a lot of the research that makes you believe that the vaccine was good. Go ahead.
They're surmising the data for you, but do you believe that the upper management of PolitiFact is leaning one way over the other? Is that the point of them, period? Is to not do that? Isn't that why they are successful and why they've stayed around so long and why they are a source that's referred to? I mean, if that was true, then
Snopes is referred to just as much as PolitiFact. Do you believe Snopes is also altruistic?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know which is. I know. That's a big question. Not a big one. Let me get back to you on that. How's that?
And do you think nonprofits can be biased?
Yes.
So why do you use that as even a reference? Of course it can be biased.
Everything can be biased.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually trying to find your podcast.
I'm not really. I stopped uploading on the podcast networks. It's
Where do
you can. It's just my Tuesday night show on all the different social medias. X. We're like right now we've got several hundred people watching on X.
Oh, really?
Let's see all sides. I'm trying to figure out. Let's see if we can see on all sides if it's on there. I don't have it. What I can tell you is the following is 59% liberal, 14% middle ground, 24% conservative. That's what it says. That doesn't add up to 100 though. What's that?
That's your following.
Huh? No. That's what I read about PolitiFact.
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, my following is admittedly an echo chamber. I've given up on trying to speak to both sides. You know what I say is hopefully I could provide the best way to have a conversation with those on the opposite side. That's the best I can do.
Are you Anthony Russo BFD?
That's my personal page. But yeah, if you're looking for it on X, it's TW. Truth will set you free. TWSYF_USA.
I wish I'd been looking at the comments all this time, but not that.
Oh, there's a bunch, but they're coming through. Let's see. I'm trying to find media fact check. So it is left center bias. Again, they're basing it again off the information, not off what they end up saying.
Right.
But their information is just left of center. That's Politico, but it's still left of center.
Okay. All right. Is it perhaps possible that the real world is left of center?
No. The real world is a spectrum of different belief systems. There is no black and white. There is no real world being in one position. The real world is all over. There is people that are far left. There's crazy right wingers. There's crazy left wingers. There's people somewhere near the middle. There's somebody if you want my belief system, I believe as though I'm as close to center as possible. I call out Trump when he's an idiot. I also I would have been more of an RFK voter if there was ever a chance that would have happened.
Did Trump lose the election in 2020?
You're going to ask the same question I did before. No. Sorry. Yes. Trump lost the election. Joe Biden is our current president.
God, I've never heard a Republican say that ever. Thank you.
Technically, J.D. Vance said it last night, and he said the same thing that I do. Yes, he lost the election, and there was major issues that I never think were resolved. I would encourage you to watch 2000.
Fight a riot at the Capitol on January.
Absolutely not.
So who did?
You want the truth as somebody that was there because you think being there is important? I can tell you that a bunch of people.
All perspectives, despite the video and despite what we've seen.
So before the video, I can tell you what happened. There was a small amount of security. There was not enough for the 500,000, or if you want to argue the size of the crowd, 250,000 people that were walking their way up there. I was near the front. So like a bull in a china shop, all of a sudden a bunch of people chanting, "Stop the steals, President Trump, we want him back, 4 more years," whatever. For some odd reason, this peaceful group that was peaceful at the time, they decided to hold on. If you ask me a question, you should listen to it first.
Every word you're saying.
What are you showing?
I'm showing video of that day.
Okay, cool. So let me tell you what happened that day before the video that you're showing, because you started the conversation out wanting firsthand examples.
I'm right here.
You have it right there. Okay.
I'm right here.
You're showing somebody on Congress right now. I literally, this is a moment where you get to actually have a firsthand conversation with somebody near the front of the crowd. You're choosing not to listen.
I'm right here.
A bunch of people with a Trump flag celebrating. I can't hear anything. I don't know what you're showing.
Audio.
What's that?
There's no audio.
Oh, let me see. Okay. So you've got Joe Biden being sworn in. I don't know how this relates to the conversation, Tony.
All right. Keep talking.
I would appreciate you paying attention. You talked about the importance of firsthand information.
I'm right here with
You
you.
asked me what happened.
Yep.
Oh, wait.
I'm right here.
Okay. So being in the crowd that was near the front,
Condescending ass. Yes.
being near the front, there was a bunch of people chanting,
Mm-hmm.
doing whatever, peacefully, before all the video that you see there.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, flashbangs were thrown in the back of the crowd. Super weird for a peaceful group. Again, you can argue that about the mostly peaceful protests of the Summer of Love. You also had the little balls being shot into the crowd. Flashbang went off and blew up a guy's eye somewhat near us. Somebody had a heart attack. Somebody did die that day. Nobody on the police died that day. There was the police officer that they keep saying died that day, 3 days later, from an unrelated stroke, which was shuffled to the back of the news. So when you send a bunch of explosives and things to rile up a crowd that is at that point peaceful, what do you expect to happen? And then when you don't have enough security, which even Nancy Pelosi in the vehicle with her daughter on video that is just now coming out about 3 months ago, talking about the fact that she admit that they kind of screwed up and they needed more police officers and Bowser should have allowed the National Guard that Donald Trump suggested. And also, we call it an insurrection. Has anybody ever been charged with insurrection? The answer is no. So there's a lot of issues with that that I see.
Remind me.
What's that?
What were they charged with? Remind me.
They're mostly minor offenses. There's a couple people that were they got felonies for hurting police officers, one of which I know that hit a police officer back after he hit a woman. But there was some really bad behavior in that group. Out of 250,000, there was bad behavior. There was 4 people charged with sedition, one of which, the one that got the biggest penalty and the biggest punishment, was the leader of the Proud Boys, Enrique Tarrio, who was not even there that day.
And how many people were actually indicted from January 6th? Americans.
There's still people awaiting their trial, so they've not had a free and fair trial system. There's still people sitting in the January 6th gulag, minimal at this point.
Tried and etc.
How many people tried? I'm going to ballpark. I actually don't know the exact number. I'm going to guess 1,000, around 1,000, around 1,200.
Okay. And so were they all found innocent or guilty or what?
Well, Cash, for example, I can give you a firsthand example. He entered. He got a very minor offense, but he was in the January 6th prison for 2 years. I'm sorry, the January 6th jail, very different. He was in the January 6th DC DOC jail, and he ended up getting a 2-month sentence, but he was there for 2 years.
Do you believe that these people attacked the Capitol?
Absolutely not. Well, hold on. Let me rephrase that. Do I believe a few bad apples out of the group?
Definition.
Under 100, about 100 or less.
Okay.
But I don't think any of them had the intention, because again, if they had the intention,
why were 1,000 people indicted? 1,200 actually.
They were indicted for minor offenses for literally parading was one of the most common ones, parading through the Capitol.
Do you think it's acceptable to cross over a boundary that has been set to not enter the Capitol on a day such as that, even though it is the building of the people, but it was set for everyone's security, for them not to enter, and those boundaries to be crossed and windows broken? Maybe I know you're going to say it was a window
it was. Oh, I think it was 2 windows. Yeah,
but
and then the doors have magnetic locks.
They were being told by law that it was not legal for them to do so.
So let me explain. So I get what you're saying. Like there was a lot of imperfections on that day, but many of the people that got parading went into the building. So I was very close. I was within 30 feet of the door. And I can tell you that I was talking to cops. There was a bunch of people hanging out, people drinking beer up top. Like at that point, this was pretty early. This was, again, I did not see the violence, but I can tell you that people were walking in and out of the doors after people were being let in. Do I believe people that entered the people's house when there was cops allowing them in should be indicted? Absolutely not. And they were.
After the cops, like you were talking about the security guards at the Capitol, the security police. I mean, the Capitol
Police. The Capitol Police, the same Capitol Police that murdered Ashley Babbitt, that never got tried.
The Capitol Police that Ashley Babbitt was trying to break through onto the other side to get.
It's actually not true. So I actually have a friend that has video and was standing right next to her. His name's Taylor Hansen, and she was literally yelling at them to get control of the crowd. She is unarmed. Unarmed. Think about if this happened at a BLM rally that summer. Unarmed, yelling at
that door. What was her intent on to getting onto the other side of that door?
She wasn't trying to get to the other side. She was yelling at the police officer saying, get control of this situation. That's
Okay.
literally the verbiage.
The group of people trying to get through that door, what was their intent to get through that door? Why did they want to get through that door?
At that point, it was a riotous nature, but at the same time, I can tell you with that many people and one guy with the gun, if they really wanted to get through, they probably would have got through. There was also no reason to shoot when you've got police officers and SWAT coming from behind less than 5 seconds after she got shot. It was a mistake by the police officer that unfortunately
Capitol Police officer that was jammed in between the door and the wall, that was being the horrible video of his face and him being suffocated and squeezed to death by, I mean,
don't say to death. He didn't die, and it was an unfortunate circumstance. There was some, as I'll repeat, there was bad stuff. Just the same as federal buildings during the BLM riots. Again, there's bad things that happen on all. I don't know why you roll your eyes when there was so much more damage and death
and threats of life, and the other one involved property. And I do see a difference between the two.
Oh no. There was thousands of police officers treated for injuries during that summer of love. There was more suicide in the police departments than history during the summer of love.
Wait. More suicides. Why are we talking about suicide?
Police suicides because they were working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, barely having breaks, being things thrown at them, cans.
What's that? Nothing. I was paused.
There was also 17 people killed during that summer of love from other protesters. You had Dorn, David Dorn, an ex-police officer protecting somebody's business, and they were killed. And I'm not counting the people that Kyle Rittenhouse righteously killed that tried to attack him. I'm talking about people that were just part of the riot. 17 people died. The people that died at the Capitol were 2 guys had a heart attack from the flashbangs. You had Ashley that got shot and killed by a police officer that was never even tried. And then I believe 1 woman got trampled. So that's 4 people, 3 of which were killed because of actions of the Capitol Police. Whereas during the summer of love, during the riots that pillaged cities, destroyed local businesses, destroyed local lives, killed 17 people, and led to many, many police officer suicides, as well as many people that no longer worked again for the police department.
That statement to say that it led to many people. We don't know why police officers or anyone kills themselves. To boil it
You're
down.
right. You're right. That's hearsay. I won't do that.
Come on.
That's fine. Okay, so you're looking at way more injuries to police officers during the summer of love. That doesn't justify January 6th. If somebody was there, I didn't see the bad stuff directly. I had to see the videos later.
And it didn't happen?
No, I just said it did. I literally just said
I understand
there was bad things. Now, if I was in that kind of
No, but at the same time, earlier you said that it didn't happen because you didn't see it happen. You said that earlier on.
No, I did not. Absolutely not.
And so therefore, it was a peaceful and calm day. Come on.
I literally said there was many things that went wrong that day, blown completely out of proportion. What I said is there was no insurrection. Nobody was charged with armed insurrection.
Attack the Capitol. Yes, they did. A group of people did attack the Capitol. They climbed the walls. They passed the gates. They passed the barriers. They went into the Capitol when they were not supposed to. They broke the law. And what was the intent?
So the first people that
was to, by many of them, and if it were only one, it would be enough to take Mike Pence and hang him because he was going to stop the transfer of power, or he was not going to stop the transfer of power. He was not going to go. They wanted him not to. They were going to kill Nancy Pelosi. They went into her office. I don't care if it was
Nancy Pelosi was gone so far.
One person.
These
it
people
was an attempt to overthrow the American government in a way that has never happened before in the last
Cool. Then
100.
show me who is charged with insurrection.
They have actually come, if you want to tell the difference between insurrection and
Sedition. Go ahead and give the definition for people watching.
difference. Do I have time to do this? Are you okay with it before you tell me that I'm not fast enough?
I never said you weren't fast enough. I was trying to help out before.
Oh, the helper. Treason, insurrection. Let's see. What's the difference? Sedition, prohibited speech, isn't just limited to the overthrow of the government. For instance, yelling fire in a crowded theater is prohibited speech. But when the crime is political, it may qualify as sedition, according to the Title 18, Section 2384 of the Code of Laws of the U.S. Sedition can meet any of three conditions. If two or more people in any place subject the U.S. jurisdiction, 1. Conspire to overthrow, put down, destroy by force, or wage war against the government. Do you believe that happened that day?
I don't actually, but again, the 4 people that were found guilty of it, I can't. It was a court of law. I can believe that it's bullshit, but 4 people were found that way. But it's again. Go ahead.
So that means it's not enough people. It should have been more. How many should have been for it to be an overthrow or attempt to destroy?
Well, then it's a coup and a true insurrection. You'll see the fact that we had 250,000 plus.
What's the number that you need for it to be preventing, hindering, or
a dangerous amount of people that can overtake that many police officers, which 4 is not.
What is that number?
And by the way, 4 of the people, one wasn't even there that got charged with sedition. So, if you want a number,
how many people?
How about this?
How many
more than how many Capitol police officers there are?
People does it take?
More than how many guards there are?
So how many is that?
Well, that day they were very understaffed at around 200 revolving. So I think if 200 people were there with weapons, by the way, not a single one of the people charged with sedition.
This isn't what defines sedition, correct?
You asked me what I would believe. So 3 people were charged with sedition, none of which was charged with insurrection.
Number 2, forcefully oppose government authority, preventing, hindering, or delaying the execution of any law of the U.S. So can we agree?
That's sedition.
This is sedition. Yes, that's just number 2. Number 3 is seize, take, or possess any U.S. property contrary to its laws. Did that happen that day?
No, and that's why that is one of the areas they were not found guilty of that point of sedition. They were found. Let me explain to you what they're found guilty.
Answer my question. Did anyone take anything out of the doors of the Capitol with them that day when they were not supposed to be in there?
Yeah, they took Nancy's laptop. Read that again.
Seize, take, or possess any U.S. property contrary to its laws.
So that was one of the areas they were found guilty on. So that was one. The other one was based on.
So they were trying to oppose the counting.
But he didn't even hold on. He didn't even get found guilty of sedition. The one that took the laptop, I don't believe. He wasn't one that got charged.
Laptop, or are you sure of that? Have your people looked that up? What was taken out of the Capitol?
I believe just a laptop and a flagpole.
But let's have the fact. The Justice Department determines what constitutes sedition. Last September, for instance, Attorney General Bill Barr encouraged prosecutors to charge Black Lives Matter protesters with sedition if they were believed to have caused violent crimes, such as taking a federal courthouse or other federal property by force. The charge of sedition, he continued, did not require proof of a plot to overthrow the U.S. government. Here's insurrection. While sedition is organized incitement or rebellion or civil disorder against the state's authority, insurrection involves actual acts of violence against the state or its officers. Do we believe that happened? There were acts of violence against the state or its officers. Did that happen?
No.
No officer was harmed. None were beaten.
Not in the way that it is written, which is why no one.
That horrible video of the guy with his head stuck in, being squished.
So that has to be a direct attack in order for that verbiage to be
What
correct.
about got brain damage on the outside in the courtyard that was attacked by quite a few people? There was another officer there that was beat.
Oh, so you like facts. So that's the story of the guy that died of a stroke 3 days later when they found out that story was actually pushed to the back when it was recant. Go ahead.
Regardless, he was beaten on video. Find that video. I'll find it.
Good luck. Find it.
That's foot on assists or
I'll
engages
let you find it.
rebellion or insurrection against the authority of the United States or the laws thereof, or gives aid or comfort thereto, shall be fined under the time of prison.
Sounds pretty terrible, Tony. How many people got charged with that?
With what? Insurrection?
Insurrection.
Insurrection.
How many people got charged with it?
Do I have a moment?
Go for it.
Is anyone watching this right now?
1,415 people.
Shut up. Really? Hey, guys. Charged with insurrection.
Mostly on X. I actually can't see. I can't find what was taken out.
I'm going with AP News. Is that satisfactory?
Go for it.
Okay. Members of far-right extremist groups, former police officers, an Olympic gold medalist swimmer, and active duty U.S. Marines. They are among the hundreds of people who have been convicted in the massive prosecution of the January 6, 2021 riot.
Which is what I said.
The stunned nation watched the U.S. Capitol attack unfold on live TV.
Oh, words.
Get there. They're still looking to identify. The cases are playing out. Just look where the cases stand. By the numbers, more than 1,230 people.
I was pretty spot on my numbers. I was about right.
People have been charged with federal crimes in the riot, ranging from misdemeanor offenses like trespassing or felonies like assaulting police officers and seditious conspiracy. Roughly 730 people have pleaded guilty to charges, while another roughly 170 have been convicted of at least one charge at a trial decided by a judge or a jury. Only 2 defendants have been acquitted of all charges, and those were trials decided by a judge rather than a jury. About 750 people have been sentenced, with almost 2/3 receiving some time. The longest sentence, prison. It's a case that we heard by the U.S. Supreme Court.
Nobody was charged with insurrection, Tony. I can
Okay.
tell you.
Okay, I'm not saying I'm doubting you.
So I have to ask a question. Did you believe that people were charged with insurrection? Well,
I honestly wasn't quite clear on the difference between sedition, seditious conspiracy, and insurrection, and that's why I looked that up. So,
and seditious conspiracy, as you mentioned in the very beginning, it also is you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. That's essentially and that's what Enrique Tarrio, because again, he wasn't there. So it was the fact that he inspired people to charge the Capitol. And like I said, there was about 100 people that definitely did some things that were wrong. I think it's interesting. Just you respect journalists. Sorry, you respect journalists. That article was written very manipulatively that you were reading. It really made it seem like it was these horrific things to start. Unfortunately, the American populace does not read past the first paragraph, and then when you start to read fully through it, most of it's minor offenses that day. Most of it's parading. Most of it's all these different things that people just pled guilty to because they were being held in jail. They're 55-year-old guys and wives and whatever that wanted to get back to their home that literally just went in. I'll be honest with you. I almost went in. I didn't, but I almost did. Go ahead.
Why did they show up that day?
Because there was a rally. And it was also organized by Stop the Steal, not by Donald Trump. They actually paid him. No, they didn't pay him. They invited him to speak to his following, to which he then got people motivated. You realize the bulk of the people that went to the Capitol, including me, left before he actually said the statement of make your voices heard. I want to say the whole thing. We have to fight like hell, and we have to make our voices heard peacefully and patriotically when we march to the Capitol.
Anthony, it's been 2 hours and 3 minutes and 41 seconds, and I've got a cat and a dog that are dying to go out. I really, really thank you for this, and I hope
again.
do this again. And I appreciate your point of view. And I think that's important to all of you that are watching us to have the same conversation and maintain your civility with your friends, your family, whatever, instead of cutting them out of your life, or creating a situation where you can't at least listen. And so I appreciate you for that. And I hope to do it again
And
soon.
next time I do want to, what I want to get to is why Kamala. So we'll get there next
We
time.
so much to talk about. I agree.
Next time. We won't do it every night, but we'll figure out something weekly. All right. All right.
Thank you, buddy. Take care.
Take it easy. All right, everybody. Thank you guys for joining. I hope you guys found that was a fun hour, 2 hours and 4 minutes. Good conversation. Could have been worse. Could have been better. Could have been worse. We're going to do it again. Thank you guys for joining. Again, if you liked what you saw, I think it was entertaining. Again, I'm not convincing anybody to be a Trump voter. He's not convincing me to be a Kamala voter. I think it's interesting the way that people view information, view truth, view fact. And I think that there is ultimately, like always, it's very hard to find the truth. I believe that seeking the truth is difficult, which is why I go deep as I can into it. I want to acknowledge the fact that I was wrong about the woman in Canton, Ohio. She was just a black woman being called a Haitian. And it turns out it looks like the local news has reported that she was an American citizen. So she was just high as hell and eating a cat. So that was a big mistake. Again, what's happening in Springfield, Ohio, I do believe is a big issue. Not the eating of the dogs and the cats, which I do love the remixes of it, but I think that was a huge mistake by Donald Trump. I'm gonna finish my high noon. Kelly has called me 13 times. Have a great evening. If you'd like to support the show and any of the things that we do, I should probably throw this up. I've not done any self promotion, but if you'd like to support us, go ahead and grab some of the gear. Where is it? Truth. Use Truth at awakenotwokestore.com. Truth for 20% off everything in the store. Again, that's awakenotwokestore.com. Use Truth for 20% off. We got a lot of good gear. I'm wearing the Proud to Vote for a Convicted Felon shirt. I didn't get to show that to Tony. I should have. I love this shirt. And also, we have about 30 shirts. And one of our biggest affiliates that I've got, the CenturyH2O.com. Use Russo10 for 10% off. If you're watching on Pilled, I know some people watch Cash gracefully. Having trouble with my words. Graciously canceled this show and let me kind of take over the airways on this one. It's not very often we get to have this conversation. It looks like we'll get to have it again. Maybe Cash and Tony will have a combo. I think that I mean, Cash was at the Capitol. I think that they could have a great discussion about that. So yeah, that'll be the next thing that we do. But again, go to Century H2O and use Russo10 for 10% off at checkout. That is a water filtration systems, Patriot owned, American produced, underneath your sink. There. That's about the gist that I got for you guys. God bless. Take it easy. Have a great rest of your evening. Again, if you liked it, share it. So I have to be honest. So the talking over between the two of us, it was not him being rude and not me being rude. And honestly, I gave a little bit of carte blanche because of the fact that if I were to talk, it completely it canceled out his sound. So it's almost like when you have an echo on the phone. So it's kind of hard to have that conversation. That was probably the reason why I was a little bit gracious with the space on the time. Also, I would love for him to come back. I'm not going to be a dick and interrupt. I'm going to let him have the floor to show the ideology from his perspective. God bless, guys. Have a great evening. Tony, I don't actually have I see he commented. I'll have to send you a message. I don't know if you can hear me. I don't have a studio. I've got a one thing. I actually am not in Dallas. I'll send him a message. I'm not in Dallas. I'm out in Stephenville, Texas. I'll send him a text. All right. Take it easy, guys. God bless. Have a great evening. Take it easy.